You're on.
All right. So what I really want to talk about today is I've had a couple questions. I'm working with some young football athletes, and I've had a couple questions about, setup for bench press, and what's the appropriate grip distance that we should really be using, especially for these guys that are just learning the movement. And so one of the problems you see is that this wide grip, and I'm defining wide grip as about a width or an inch out from shoulder width. And really the problem is with this wide grip is there's a couple of disadvantages. One, out here you're not really able to set the shoulders. Kelly Starr and even Mark Bell tells us, well, we need to get the shoulders back in a stable environment. We need to externally rotate, break the bar to set those shoulders and create a stable environment. Well, out here in this wide grip, you're really already the humerus is tipped forward. It's already creating a little bit of an anterior shear there, and really kind of trashing that anterior portion of the shoulder. And you're not able to generate such a contraction in that position. So if we're talking about how we should really set those shoulders, you've got a better advantage here. The other thing is if you look at it from the side, when you're really in a wide grip, you're already much closer to those end ranges of your internal rotation. And you'll see with these guys, they'll bench, and once they're down here, they don't have any more room to work with. And so then you're going to even see more of that rounding forward of the shoulder and really just kind of trashing some of that labrum, biceps tendon, and even some of the joint capsule. So what we really want to do is and if you can kind of come over here, is what we're going to look at in a normal grip with what you're really able to do when you unwrap it here is you're able to set the shoulders, break the bar, externally rotate, and get really tight. The other thing you're able to do here, and I don't know if you can see it, is you're really able to tie in the lats. And so when you're down and you're tight, you're able to really get a good contraction from your lats and get a global extension. And if you look at the anatomy of the lats, they come in attached to the thoracolumbar fascia. Well, the glute max also has some investment in that fascia. And what that's able to do, when you're setting the lats, you're getting a nice global extension. You're able to now set the pelvis because you're able to get your glutes on and contracted. And so when you're coming down, you're able to generate all your power, all your up is really coming right through your arms and through the press, rather than when you're out here, you don't have that lat tie-in. You're not globally extending. You're not able to kick on your pelvis, and so then you're just bleeding power. And these are the same dudes that when they stand up, oh, my shoulder hurts, and you just don't be that guy. So the one other thing I want to talk about is when you're setting up and you're able to generate that nice external rotation force, breaking the bar, you're really taking advantage of that length-tension relationship of the pecs. And what I mean by that is when you're here, you're now spreading those pecs open a little bit. If you want to Google a picture of the pec major, as it comes in, it's not a perfectly straight across to the arm. It really kind of spirals up before it attaches onto the humerus. So if we're able to take advantage of that, you're better able to develop that force through that main power generator that is the pec. And you'll see this with guys that are able to lock out at the top in that position, whereas here you're really exposed. So one other thing I want to talk about is, anytime we're looking at these and training these movements, especially in young athletes, is, how can this skill transfer over to the athletic environment? One of the great reasons that we use the bench press is that it teaches us to create a stable, external, a stable shoulder, a stable environment. Well, if we're looking at, for instance, working with football players, so let's look at, blocking. If you ever look at a college or NFL lineman, they're never blocking out here in this wide shoulder, internally rotated, just lame, weak position. They're here, they're tight, shoulders are set back, hands are at 10 or 11 and 1, and really they've created a stable environment to take on that 200 or 300 pound lineman. The other advantage of that is the same principle that we're talking about in bench. I've now got a global extension, abs are tight, I'm ready to take on the blocker, rather than I'm just bleeding power and I'm extremely unstable in this position. So we always got to think about skill transfer. We've got to think about generating power in a stable, less painful environment.